of the Committee on Justice and Human Rights regarding the citizenship application of Mrs. Elizabeth Eder Zobel de Ayala. Good
Thank you.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We call this hearing to order, as it's already stated. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Senators Franklin Drilon, I think Senator Subiri, and Senator Angara, and Senator Hondureros will be joining us. The bill before us, Senate Bill number 221, authored originally by Senator Franklin Drilon, this representation as well, Senator Mix Subiri, Senator Lisa Hondureros, Senator Ralph Recto, Senator Sani Angara, and Senator Joel Villanueva seeks to grant Philippine citizenship to Elizabeth Eder Zobel de Ayala and giving her all the rights and privileges as well as the duties and obligations under our Constitution and bylaws. Existing laws. Section 1, Article 4 of the 1987 Constitution provides the following are citizens of the Philippines. Those who are citizens of the Philippines at the time of the adoption of the Constitution. Those whose fathers or mothers are citizens of the Philippines. Those born before January 17, by the way, that's my father's birthday, and that was also the time the 1973 Constitution was established, of Filipino mothers who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority, and those who are naturalized in accordance with law. This is the process of naturalization today. It's a remarkable journey as a grant of citizenship to somebody who's not from the Philippines would be forever woven into the larger story of the nation. Citizenship is a status and role which defines the authority and obligations of individual members of a community. The status and role may be formally codified in terms of qualifications, rights, and obligations by constitutions, charters, and laws, or informally determined by values, tradition, and consensus. A citizen is one who qualifies for the status of citizen as prescribed formally or informally by a particular community and is encumbered by laws and norms with the obligations and assigned to this role by that community. Kalakip ng pagiging Pilipino ay ang mga karapatan at responsibilidad ng maging tapat at totoo sa sagisag ng ating bansa. Kasama rin, mas mahalaga, ang tungkulin ng bawat Pilipino na iangat ang dignidad ng bansa at pakatulong sa kahirapan at sa may angat ang nahihirapan sa ating bansa para magkaroon sila ng mga oportunidad na dapat makuha nila to have a great life. We have here an applicant who has an advocacy to bring about positive changes to the health of our population, present opportunities for learning and promote our vibrant culture. Sa prosesong ito ay naangkop sa ating balikan ang kamalayan at pagpapahalaga ng ating pagkakakilanlan, landan ang diwa at puso ng pagiging Pilipino. Tayo po ay magsimula. I ask Senator Drilon if he has a preliminary statement, and along with the other senators, then I'll ask Mrs. Elizabeth Lizzie Zobel de Ayala to make her preliminary statements. And then I will call the Department of Foreign Affairs Director Jazil Cruz, Office of Consular Affairs. They have to have their say as well. Janina Buses Borromeo, Attorney Jamil San Jose, Office of Treaties and Legal Affairs. And from the Department of Justice, we will call Attorney Alden Ruben Luna, from the Office of the Solicitor General, Attorney Fernicar A. Tabao, from the Immigration Commission, Jaime Morente, from the National Intelligence Coordination Agency, Rolando Asuncion, Assistant Director General for Counterintelligence, Nicole Macapinlac, Branch Chief Director for Counterintelligence, and from the National Bureau of Investigation, Attorney Val Direct Ignacio, Mr. Joey B. Moran, Executive Director, Officer of the International Operation Division, and Ludovico P. Lara, Executive Officer, Counterintelligence Division. Senator Drilon, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, I have been in the Senate for almost 24 years now, and I have approved and filed bills granting Filipino citizenship to many personalities in the past. But perhaps few are as remarkable as a person whose citizenship is the subject of this today's hearing. It was an honor for me to have filed the corresponding bill, Senate Bill 2221, which would grant, once approved, to Elizabeth Eder Lizzie Zobel de Ayala all the rights, privileges, and prerogatives that come with being a Filipino. Following her marriage with Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala in 1987, she dedicated her life to various social civic activities in the Philippines, championing causes on literacy, on education, on family planning, among others. The extraordinary thing about Lizzie, if I may call our applicant Lizzie, is that her privilege does not make her rest in comfort. Instead, it drives her to serve the larger community around her, inspiring and initiating change, restoring hope, and helping build a nation which she has adopted as her own. It is indeed a pleasure for me to have filed the corresponding measure in the Senate. And at the appropriate time, I am certain that I can move for the approval by this honorable committee of the citizenship application of our subject this afternoon. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Let me just call them in order of appearance. Senator Angara came in, and then later on the majority floor leaders, Subiri. Senator Angara, would you like to make a comment as well? Senator
Yes,
Angara?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to all our resource persons and to our colleagues, Senator, the Minority Leader and the Majority Leader, and to all the resource persons, and of course to our grantee, potential grantee of citizenship, Mrs. Zobel. I'd like to support the bill of the Minority Leader, Mr. President, because I've known Mrs. Zobel for a few years, and we've worked together. She is a founder and a director of a NGO called Teach for the Philippines, and I've been to some of their schools. And what they do, Mr. Chairman, Your Honors, is they get fresh college graduates from the best schools, and they get them to teach in public schools all over the Philippines. That's hence the name Teach for the Philippines. Her co-founder is Mrs. Margarita Delgado, and their director is Clarissa Delgado, the daughter of Mrs. Delgado. And I partnered with them in one of my towns in Aurora, Casiguran, which is familiar to you, Mr. Chairman. Sometimes the subject of your irritation in some of the hearings, for some of the budget hearings of late. And but definitely, I think they've made a very tangible and measurable contribution to Philippine education in this respect. And that's why I throw my support behind the bill of Senator Drilon. And you, as sponsor, I throw my support to you also, Mr. Chairman, for the passing of the citizenship of Mrs. Zobel, Lizzie Zobel. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Angara. And if I'm irritated with Aurora, the rare times that I've been irritated is because when I see incompetence, I try to write it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to say here. Let me call Senator Subiri. I would not be true to myself if I don't say what's on my mind in the Senate.
Thank you,
Senator
Mr. Chairman.
Subiri, go ahead.
Thank you very much to our chairperson, Richard Gordon. I share the sentiments of my two colleagues, our minority floor leader, the distinguished gentleman from Iloilo, as well as the gentleman from Aurora, in granting citizenship to this wonderful person, Mr. Chairman, who has done a lot for our country. And I would just like to say, behind a successful man is an even more successful woman. I've known the husband of Lizzie a long, if I may call you Lizzie, Lizzie, I've known your husband for a very, very long time. And not only is he one of our most decent businessmen in the country, I could say one of the most decent businessmen, together with his brother, Fernando. But I can say behind the success is a more successful woman and somebody who inspires him to do great things. And Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to put on the record that Ma'am Lizzie has been supportive of so many NGOs, it's too many to count, as well as advocacies that are too many to account as well. but she has been part of bringing our country back to the forefront of protecting children, education, and so many other advocacies that I'm so proud to mention today. And therefore, without further ado, Mr. President, when the time comes, I join the minority floor leader in seconding on committee level later on when he makes the motion, the approval of citizenship from Ma'am Lizzie, and we will help her in plenary. We will help you, Mr. Chairman, because she deserves it. And I really believe the time has come, and we thank her because I know she doesn't necessarily need to be a Filipino citizen. But we thank her for wanting to be a Filipino because we know in her heart she truly is one. Maraming salamat po, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe Senator Hontiveros is also online. Senator Hontiveros, you're recognized.
Salamat, Chairman, at magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat, including to our kababayan and my kabaro, my fellow woman, Lizzie Zobel. Dear Chairman and dear Principal Author, Minority Leader, Senator Frank, I'm very glad to be considered a co-author and co-sponsor of this bill. When I learned about it from Sen Frank, I immediately thought and communicated to Ms. Elizabeth Eder Zobel de Ayala that, oh my gosh, you've been a Filipino by heart for so long. You should be definitely also by citizenship. I am really very, very happy that Lizzie will join us in our Filipino citizenship, since aside from her husband, all their children are also Filipino citizens. And most especially, I treasure Lizzie's participation and contribution in the building of our society through her involvement, such as with Teach for the Philippines, with the Philippine Center for Population and Development Incorporated, with sa Aklat, Sisikat Foundation, and with the National Museum of the Philippines, among many others. Dear Lizzie, dear Chairman, dear colleagues, this is indeed one of the happy bills, as the majority leader likes to call them. This is one of the very happy bills that we in the Senate are blessed to be able to hear and eventually to pass into law. Mabuhay ka, Lizzie. Welcome to status that is decades overdue, because as I said at the start, you have been a Filipino at heart for a very, very long time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Very
you,
much.
Senator.
I will make my statement later on after we have discussed this. I think you're all aware of the fact that it is always a pleasure to be chairman of this committee, and one of the pleasures is to welcome in our midst, when we approve this, and I assume we'll approve this, somebody who has earned to be a citizen of this country, not because she wants to use it for some purpose, but because she wants to be part of this great country, the building of a country that's still ongoing up to now. We stumble, we fall, we climb up, and we're happy that Elizabeth Eder Ayala, Zobel Ayala, has come forward and made their application. After all, as my colleagues have stated, all her children are Filipino citizens and very, very worthy students, scholars as well. Some of them are in Harvard and in Brown, and of course, Lizzie has been very active. We don't do these things without studying the record of the applicant, and we all know that she's involved in various capacities. She doesn't tell to have it. She goes out of the circle of comfort and reaches out to the masses by way of teaching them, as already stated in the Teach for the Philippines Incorporated, where you try to get the best of the best to try and teach and share the blessings of education to our less fortunate folks. And of course, she's part of the Philippine Center for Population and Development Incorporated, which seeks to have qualitative population in our country, the Friendly Care Foundation, as well as the Aklat Sisikat Foundation. We all know that he or she who reads, leads. And I think this is very important. And of course, going back to our history and our culture, she's certainly a very active member of the Board of Trustees of the National Museum of the Philippines. So enough said. I think we can proceed. Miss Elizabeth, I use MS. Miss Elizabeth Zobel de Ayala, you now have the floor, ma'am. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Senator Gordon, Chairman of the Senate Judiciary and Legislative Committee, for the opportunity you give me today to speak before you. It's an honor to be here among such distinguished men and women who do so much for the rest of us. I would also like to especially thank the Honorable Senator Frank Drilon for being the principal sponsor of this bill, and for his kind and generous words, and mostly for his trust and his faith in my desire to become a Filipino citizen. I am deeply grateful and touched by the words of Senators Miggs, my friend, Senator Risa, my friend, Senator Sonny. Thank you so much for your kind words and for your trust and depositing your faith in me to become a Filipino. Maraming sa inyong lahat. Your Honor, if you will allow me, I would like to share with you the extraordinary experiences and opportunities that I have had in the Philippines that have led me to stand before you today and humbly ask that you consider allowing me to become a citizen of this beautiful nation. After living in the Philippines for 34 years with my Filipino husband, Jaime, my 4 children, and now 2 Filipino grandchildren, I'm happy to say, I have come to love the Philippines and its people in a most special way. The opportunities that I've been given to work with the Filipinos and for the Filipino people, and together with them, have allowed me to travel throughout the country, from the pastoral beauty of Batanes to the plateaus of Bukidnon, the windmills of Ilocos Norte, and the heritage of Vigan and the beautiful farmlands of Davao. I gained a more granular and intimate knowledge of its magnificently layered history, its culture, its natural beauty, and the extraordinary values that Filipinos hold dear. Primarily, my efforts have been centered around the capacity that the areas of education, culture, and reproductive health have to create the social and developmental changes for the Filipino people. In education, I have worked for Museo Pambata, co-founded a functional literacy campaign and teacher training program named Saaklat Sisikat. And in 2012, as mentioned by Senator Sonny, I co-founded with Margarita Delgado and currently chair Teach for the Philippines. I share in your collective dream that all Filipino children be given access to an inclusive, relevant, and excellent education. And it is with this in mind that my work has been focused on improving teacher quality and addressing challenges in public and non-elite private education in the Philippines. Over the past 20 years, and as a partner of the Department of Education, I've had the privilege of working with 12 secretaries of education, including Secretary Briones, and over 236 LGU government officials. I have been inspired by their leadership and watched them place the hard work of nation building and public service over and above any obstacles they may have encountered. At the request of President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, I served the National Museum from 2001 to 2010 to assist its team in preserving and protecting the Philippines' extraordinary cultural and artistic heritage. An enthusiast of Philippine history, my years at the National Museum gave me the opportunity to expand on my knowledge of its rich culture and gain a deeper understanding of its traditions, customs, and folklore. Throughout my life in the Philippines, I have witnessed how Filipinos place family front and center in their lives. In my advocacy, in work, in women's health issues, I have endeavored to ensure that all Filipino women and men have access to the services and information they need to plan their families responsibly. In this area, I have worked with the Family Forum of the Philippines, the Friendly Care Foundation, and the Philippine Center for Population and Development. As a result of my work in the Philippines, I served as a board member of the Population Council in New York for 6 years and currently sit in its Committee for Global Development and Engagement. Likewise, I sit on the board of a regional think tank in Hong Kong, the Center for Asian Philanthropy and Society, involved in research in social development programs and best practices around the region. I also serve on the board of my alma mater, Boston College, another Jesuit institution that places values-driven education at the forefront of its standards. As a result of my position of leadership, I have been able to develop a collaboration between Ateneo University of Manila and Boston College, which is providing a cross-pollination of experiences and learnings for both institutions and for its students. My efforts to remain engaged in global institutions are grounded on a desire to create linkages for the Philippines and to share in best practices so that possibilities may be broadened for both Philippine institutions and for their beneficiaries. Finally, my husband and I have always seen ourselves as a team in promoting the best interests of the Philippines. I have supported him in his many initiatives to promote the Philippines as a progressive and innovative nation, friendly to investors in this increasingly globalized economic environment. Your Honor, in working together with the Filipino and for the Filipino, I have fallen in love with the Philippines and would like to formally become a citizen of the Philippines that I already am in my heart. In all of my endeavors, I have always felt the love, support, and encouragement of the people of the Philippines, and I hope that in my small ways, I have been able to give back to this wonderful nation. It is this deep love and commitment to the Philippines that has driven my desire to formalize my becoming a part of it. It is my sincere hope that by formalizing my citizenship in the Philippines, I may be given a greater chance to contribute to the work that all of you do for the Filipino people. Thank you again, Your Honor. Thank you, Senators, for being here today, for your support, and to your esteemed committee members for allowing me the honor and the privilege to speak to you today and to advocate on my behalf. Maraming salamat.
Lizzie, and I think I'm almost embarrassed to have anybody ask questions because, as they say in law, res ipsa loquitur. The lady's record speaks for itself. However, just to be sure, I just want to be sure that our fellow senators know that I have spoken with Mrs. Zobel de Ayala yesterday for about 2 hours and discussed her record of service to our country and her sincere desire. I just want to be upfront with that, and I think Senator Drilon would like to make a statement. Again.
Yeah, it's not a question, it's only a manifestation. From your very long list of achievements, DC, the one that struck the right note on our chairman is when you said you were a graduate of Boston College, a Jesuit school, and that's when he raised his fist in agreement. That's all. That's my chairman.
As usual, my good friend Frank is always very perceptive. Boston Eagles, had a great quarterback by the name of Doug Flutie. Were you there, Lizzie, at the time?
If there was still any doubt,
Senator Dick.
yes, if there was
Yes,
still
Senator
any
Dick, you're
doubt
not.
as to your
Yes,
eligibility to become a Filipino citizen, that being a graduate of Boston College, a Jesuit-run school, remove all those doubts insofar as we're. Thank you very much.
Thank you. But again, as I said,
thank you, sir.
we have a
Yes,
gem.
Senator Dick, I
Yes.
graduated with Doug Flutie.
Oh, really?
Yes,
The very
I
famous
graduated
history
with him,
pass.
and I was there when he did the Hail Mary pass.
That's right. That was an impossible feat, but he made it.
He did
And
it.
he wasn't
He
that
did
tall
it.
either, was he? But anyway,
No, he wasn't.
uh,
Nice
he
man.
was, yes, there's hope for us shorties. Anyway, I think that he possessed all the qualifications, and I don't think there are any disqualifications. I would like to ask any of the senators, would they care to make any more comments, any questions, any? None? Let me just ask, therefore, just as a matter of procedure, to ask any of our government representatives here present whether they would like to make any statement, any problems. I call first on the representative Secretary Teddy Locsin, my good friend, represented here by Jazil Cruz, Office of Consular Affairs, and Janina Bustos Borromeo and Jamil San Jose. Are there any comments from the Department of Foreign Affairs? Please turn on your video and punch the the mute button.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, honorable senators.
Would you like to show your face, please? The video.
I think my camera is on. Am I
Yes, sir.
visible? Hello?
Your internet is not working. There's a triangle there that shows your internet is not that good. But anyway, go ahead.
I apologize for the internet connection. We from the Department of Foreign Affairs would just like to reiterate our inputs that we provided at the House committee level, that per our records, as far as visa derogatory records and also Philippine passport records, there are no records to present as far as any that would constitute a barrier to the application of Mrs. Zobel de Ayala for a grant of Philippine citizenship, and we reiterate our no objections to that grant. Only on the matter of citizenship, we hope also that the implications for this particular grant of Philippine citizenship on any citizenships that she may hold, that the applicant is aware. Other than that, we again reiterate our no objections and appreciate the contributions of the present applicant to the Philippines that have justified this grant of Philippine citizenship by legislative decree. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. With Secretary Menardo Guevara of the Department of Justice, ably represented here by Attorney Alden Ruben Luna. Would you like to speak and state your comments, if any?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and to all honorable senators present here today. The Department of Justice interposes no objection to the grant of Philippine citizenship to Ms. Elizabeth Eder Zobel de Ayala, since the grant of Philippine citizenship to foreign nationals is consistent with the Constitution, which allows the grant of Philippine citizenship by naturalization, one of which is through legislative naturalization. In sum, we submit that it is within the powers of Congress to enact laws such as granting of Philippine citizenship to deserving foreigners who have embraced the Filipino culture, as well as those who have embodied the Filipino values of perseverance and determination. However, we defer to the findings of the Bureau of Immigration and National Bureau of Investigation with respect to their confirmation that the applicant's name do not appear in any of their derogatory database list or record. That would be all for the department, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Luna. And now call on the representative of Mr. Jaime Morente, unless he's there. Mr. Morente, are you there? From Immigration? Anybody from the Bureau of Immigration? It's also part of the Department of Justice.
Good afternoon, Senator Gordon. This is Attorney Arvin Santos, the Chief of the Legal Division of the Bureau of Immigration, in behalf of Commissioner Morente.
Would you mind turning on your video, please?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, we are trying, but we're the video cam is.
That's all right. Go ahead and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I restate the position paper submitted by Commissioner Morente that the BI poses no objection to the proposed bill granting Philippine citizenship to Elizabeth Eder Zobel de Ayala. Zobel de Ayala does not appear in the BI's derogatory list. She is a longtime CA 613 Section 13A permanent resident visa holder by virtue of her marriage to a Filipino. Her husband and children are all Filipino citizens. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Santos. I now call on Director General Paul Monteagudo, represented here by Assistant Director General Rolando Asuncion. Please
Good
proceed.
afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honors, and to the other resource persons. Magandang hapon po. This is Assistant Director General Asuncion of the Directorate for Counterintelligence of the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency. And on behalf of the Director General, DG Alex Paul Monteagudo, the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, as of this date, has no derogatory information on Ms. Elizabeth Eder Zobel de Ayala, a U.S. citizen who was born in October 9 in Cali, Colombia. Ms. Zobel de Ayala is not involved in any activities that are detrimental to the national security. And in fact, we noted only extraordinary deeds to the Filipino people. Thus, the NICA endorses the granting Philippine citizenship to Elizabeth Eder Zobel de Ayala. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And that constitutes the entire report of the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency. Let me just call OIC Eric Listor and represented by Attorney Valderec Ignacio. Mr. Ignacio, are you there? Mr. Moran, Executive Officer, International Operation Division, or Ludovico P. Lara, if you're authorized to speak in behalf of the National Bureau of Investigation, please come forward and speak. Turn on your microphone and your video.
Good afternoon, Senators. In behalf of the officer in charge of the National Bureau of Investigation, in the absence of any record pertaining to Ms. Elizabeth Eder Zobel de Ayala, we support her petition for our naturalization, sir. That's it po.
Thank you. And that is the official report of the National Bureau of Investigation. Thank you very much. Having said all that, it comes now to the committee to make a decision, a motion to submit this to the plenary, and the chair, entertain any motion to such effect. Senator Drilon, being the principal author, go ahead, please.
It is, if there are no more questions or statements from our resource persons, it is my honor and privilege to move that the Senate Bill 2221 and the corresponding House measure granting citizenship to Mrs. Zobel de Ayala be now submitted, be favorably considered, and be submitted to plenary for approval. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I would
Thank
like
you.
to
Are
second
there-
the motion, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to
Thank you,
second the
Senator
motion.
Pizarro. Ably seconded, and shall we make it unanimous for all the members present?
Yes.
Yes. It's unanimously approved, and there are no objections, and it's a great pleasure to approve the same. We will now submit this to the plenary, and we congratulate Mrs. Elizabeth Zobel de Ayala and then welcome her when we finally make the decision and when it is finally approved by the office of the president. But in the meantime, 34 years in waiting to apply for citizenship. That's a long, long time. And behaving as a Filipino, a model Filipino at that, even before she got the grant of citizenship. And as I told you yesterday, Lizzie, I like people who apply, especially if they have earned the right to do so. My father opted to become a Filipino. Some of us are born by accident. And here it's a matter of choice. And that to me is one of the greatest things about the democracy, when we open our arms to accept a human being that has contributed a lot to the upliftment of humanity and dignity of a people. So Thank you very much. I think we don't have to over abuse the English language today. Maraming salamat. At I'm very happy, and it's a great honor for the committee. And speaking before all the members of the committee, we give you our personal thanks and applause and congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, Lizzie. Give our best to your husband. Congratulations.
Senators, thank you. Thank you for your kind words and for your support. I truly appreciate it. And coming from all of you, it means a lot to me. Maraming salamat. And to all the resources from the Department of the Foreign Affairs, Department of Justice, Office of the Solicitor General, Bureau of Immigration, National Bureau of Investigation, and National Intelligence Coordinating Agencies, thank you. Thank you for being here today and for supporting my application. Thank you to all of you. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much. And having said that, the meeting, with the permission of everyone, is now adjourned. Congratulations, everyone. Congratulations, especially to Lizzie Zobel. Thank you.
Thank you.